I'd like to kind of talk about that because that is a unique perspective that everybody would be like, oh, wow, you're going to come into money and it's going to be so hard for you to handle. But that financial independence, if you will, whether you have to start over or you have to figure out how to manage it, it is terrifying, right? So how do I start to accept some of that reality going forward and position myself so that I'm now responsible for the results also going forward, right?
Yeah. And it's so interesting about that because I've worked with a lot of people, divorced women in particular, who have had that exact experience to where they have been monitored, financially bullied. I love the introduction of coercive control into this. They've had to account for every dime. And then they come to find out that there is a lot of money here. And then all of a sudden this, financial windfall, this financial freedom, right, that everybody I think wouldn't mind having, suddenly becomes a prison, but a different kind of prison than the one they were living in. And I've seen so many women say, I love the idea of having millions at my disposal and being able to, provide for myself and, my children and all of that. But I feel like it's just another kind of trap. I don't know how to manage this money. I don't know how to keep it. You touched on a really important thing there. And a lot of it does have to do with the environment they were in forever, however many years in their marriage or in their relationship, or business partnership, whatever that looks like, to where they were told to, account for every minute thing. And were probably also given the impression that they were not good with money. And so that's why they had to be monitored. And that's why, they come into this money and they're like, I just don't have the confidence. That's the one thing I hear all the time is I don't have the confidence. And women in general, they are very good at managing the day-to-day finances of a household. And so I think it's very important for us to really emphasize that, hey, you've already been doing this. You are an expert bookkeeper when you are looking at this. And so we're just going to, I say just, we're going to scale this at a different level that feels better for you. It doesn't mean that you have to change the way you live your life. It doesn't mean you have to, spend the money, but let's put you in a position to where you build increasing confidence towards the investment part of your money, or managing your money, or choosing the right people to be on your team to help support you through this transition. In the best of times, research has shown that women lack a lot of confidence when it comes to the investing side as compared to their male counterparts. And that's when financial situations are good. But research also shows that they're very, very good at managing the day-to-day. And so if we can take those two things together into perspective and emphasize that, hey, you are already really, really, really good at stretching dollars or keeping, track of stuff. Let's focus on that. Let's not make too many changes. Let's just put this money over here, wherever over here looks like. Let's get some people on your team, whether that's a financial planner or an advisor or a coach like myself, somebody who can help you work through both the brass tacks of it, the dollars in, the dollars out, and then the emotional side of it. So you can have a transition plan to where you don't lose that money and you don't feel like that money has now become an unwanted burden, whether it's emotional or financial. And of course, we don't want you blowing through it either. And that brings up another part of something I see all the time, is that we often have a very, very acute desire to do emotional spending when we're going through transitions. So some of us are emotional eaters. Some of us use substances to cope. Sometimes it's all of the above, but many, many people use spending to fill those holes that we feel, because when we are going through a transition like a divorce, gosh, and I've been through a divorce, and I can speak very much from the heart on this. Is a divorce for many people just is the utter representation of the crushing of all of your dreams. It's the family that didn't quite, be the thing you wanted it to be. It's the not growing old with the person you thought you were going to grow old with, and then all of the other circumstances around that. But it really very much is a grief process. And I have seen clients who've lost spouses due, to sickness or death or whatever that looks like. And those responses are very similar, is that any inheritance that they receive is often blown through within a year. I worked with a client just earlier this year. His wife had died, and he blew through like almost $1 million in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like selling cars, like trying to to get like the coercions, not like on in a dealership, but it's one of those things where you have to be very, very careful in the steps you take, and knowing that there is a very deep emotional side to this, and you can kind of teeter on the edge. And if you don't choose the right people to support you, and again, going back to what we were talking about and having conversations around money, disaster can ensue.